Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video and welcome to the beginning of the editing vlog of Girls, Rot and Ruin Book 2, which has a working title name, but I don't want to say it yet because it's just me and the publisher that will know this. Just to begin this video, I have today sent in the edited version of Girls, Rot and Ruin, the book that I know is going to be published. I have sent that in today, and I also asked her if the editor, would want to read the pitch for book 2. I haven't gotten an email back from her yet, but I'm thinking that I will get that back soon. I have been waiting to open this, and that is a Christmassy book box from my publisher Vlog, and there's gonna be 3 books in this. I have been keeping this as a treat for when I finished my edit and my read through of Gods of Ruin. So now I finally get to open this damn book or book box, and that's how we're gonna begin this little vlog. So I have my scissors and I'm gonna cut this open. When I went and got this a couple of weeks ago, there wasn't any snow, but now for the last couple of days there has been snowing quite a lot, and I am in my Christmas feels. Am I gonna show you first or am I gonna watch first? Here is the little note with all of the items in this box, and this is the thank you note. Here is the book box. I love that Seraph is doing book boxes for almost all of their published books that they are doing. I am getting a book box, which is very fun, and that book box you will get to by the 8th of July next year. That is when you are going to book a box and then buy it if you want to. Oh my god. The first thing that I'm seeing here is bookmarks, and these are very nice quality actually. It's a little bit glossy. Let It Snow, and on the back there is the 3 books that are in this book box, and this says Baby It's Cold Outside, also has the 3 books. I love that we're getting cute bookmarks because I use bookmarks all the time. So I'm just gonna show you the books right away. Cute! Here is all the books and they look so beautiful, and all of them are signed. So this is the first one. It looks like this. This is a feel good and it's called Havsvikens Bokcafé, or my English translation, Havsvikens Book Cafe. Havsviken is a place, a fictional place here in Sweden, and it's by Caroline Hurtig, which is also the publisher at Vlog. And this is about IVF, endometriosis, and dealing with the grief of not being able to have a child or yourself, or with IVF and having endometriosis and what that does to you. The main character in this book has recently taken or done an operation so that she doesn't have a uterus anymore, so she can't be able to have a child, which is very traumatic, I would guess, for anyone who is struggling with this or have gone through this. And Caroline Hurtig has taken a lot of inspiration from her own life and her own struggles when writing this book. It means a lot to her, and I think it will mean a lot to anyone who reads it. It's a feel-good, so don't get scared about the topics in this book. Then we have another book which is called Julpusslet, or my English translation, The Christmas Puzzle, by Caroline Twomley. Am I saying your name correctly? I don't know. I'm sorry if I don't. And this is a romantic feel-good about family secrets and this girl that is hiding away in this old house, and I think she's gonna renovate it or something. And then there's this neighbor. I think there's a romance between them, and the main character is finding out things about her family. And then it's this one, and I don't know how to do an English translation, so I can just put up something here. And it's by Olivia Reimhagen. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong as well. It's a romantic feel-good, and it's LGBTQIA plus representation, a male romance. And the thing that I was squealing about is that we got this in here. So here is a map of the apartment that this book takes place in. I think that the setup for this story is that these 2 people are not wanting to maybe celebrate Christmas, and by some weird luck, or not luck at all, they are renting the same apartment. And I'm very excited to read all of these. And then here's something that I know that I won't be drinking, but that's just because I don't do coffee. But that's Winter Spice coffee, but I will be maybe giving this to my dad because he's the only one that drinks coffee. Here's a bracelet, a wish bracelet. It says, close your eyes and make a wish. Put this bracelet on your wrist. When the bracelet breaks in 2, then your wish may come true. This is really fun. This is a heat pack for hands. You know, they are thinking about all of us who are walking in the snow and freezing our hands off. And then we have a candy. And I love these kinds of candies, but it's called julskum or tomteskum here in Sweden. And then this, I don't know what this is. A cup thing, a mirror. Is it a mirror? Yes, it is. A cute little mirror. There you go. Now you're watching me watching myself. Cookie cutters. It says on the back, plastic cutter, perfect for making cookies and cutting sugar paste and gum paste shapes or cake toppers. So we have all the different Christmassy shapes, a Santa, present, a Christmas tree. These are so cute. Maybe I should do like sugar cookies things. I've never done that before. So that is everything that was in the big box, because they did send out a smaller box as well for those that didn't get the big one, except for the books, because of course the books in this are my favorite thing. I love them. I like look at them. Except for that, I think that my favorite things is either this right here, this candy, because if they put candy or chocolate in these boxes, that will always be my first choice. Or tea. I love things that you can eat, and this is one of them. And in the same vein, I can't eat these, but like I can make things cute and eat them. So that's why this is my favorite thing in the box as well. And I can't freaking wait until I get to like be part of a book box. I don't think I will be able to pick something. Maybe I will probably pick chocolate, because who doesn't like chocolate? What if I can do a recipe? Because in my book, one of the elderly ladies in my book, Goodreads, she makes a pie that the male main character loves, and the female main character, everybody loves the pie. So maybe I can make a pie recipe. Shall I talk about what this video is actually about? For this video, I'm going to edit book 2 after Gods, Wrath and Ruin, so the sequel to that. The sequel is following a different point of view, and it actually has 2 point of views this time. For Gods, Wrath and Ruin, I only had 1 POV, and that's from Eden's point of view. So it's following 2 new characters that we haven't had a POV from before, and it's, like I said, a dark fantasy romance with murder mystery elements. It's set during autumn and winter, which I'm really excited for. I'm gonna write in a Christmassy ball, because they have a winter ball there, but there's no heavily descriptions of Christmas or winter at the ball, so I need to do that. But the plan for today is that I am going to bring my notebook, and I will bring you with me of course, but I'm gonna do that after lunch. I'm going to write down all the things that I know that I will encounter, or all the problems I know that I will encounter in the book. So it has to do with a certain side character, and it has to do with the murder mystery and the female main character's character arc, especially in the beginning of the book. I'm gonna write down all of those things that I know that I will need to change or work on, because if I do that, I don't feel like the editing will seem like such an overwhelming thought or process for me. And then I will also write down everything that I know that I want to keep. For example, the romance. I think the romance is spot on, in my opinion, because I remember all the things that I wrote in the romance, and I think it's good. Maybe some things are happening a little bit too soon, because it is a marriage of convenience and a hate to love romance story. There will probably be some things I need to delete or rephrase in the beginning, so that the romantical thoughts and feelings won't come until later in the book. But you know, I want them to be in love from the very first thing that they meet, but that can't be the case. And that isn't the case right now, but like before the halfway point, it's a little bit early. And I want to show you in this thing is the book. So I have printed it out, and it says here in Swedish, Gods, book 2. And here begins the first chapter. The second chapter, I think that this is 81,000 something, almost 82,000. When did I finish this? September. I can actually check that on my Instagram account, just so you and I can understand what timeline I'm working on here. So I published this the 24th of August, and so it has been 3 months, which is actually very good for me. Sometimes I end up waiting 1 year until I go back to a project. Sometimes I wait 1 month. I think 3 months is a great amount of time to be stepping away from something and thinking about it, because now I know what I want to change, for example. I know what is wrong with the story, and I just know that this will be so good, or I think it's so good. Anyway, I'm very excited for this book, and I hope that you are excited for watching this vlog as well. Okay, so I'm sitting here with my notebook. I've actually used this notebook for my brainstorm for book 2 and a part of chapter 1 for book 2. It changed a lot from this version in this one. Then when I wrote it over to the computer, it changed a lot. But I remember feeling very overwhelmed with the first chapter, so I just sat down with pen and paper and wrote it down. But okay, now I'm sitting here and going to write down what I need to edit, what I know that I need to edit. So the first thing must be a thing that I have actually... I'm gonna go and check something in the mail. I got mail, and I have been waiting for this book, because it's a book. I've been waiting for this book all week, because I've seen other people getting it, because it's having its release now. Look at it! This is the book. I don't know why, but I thought there would be, wait a second, the same kind of finish on this book as with this book. Because this is a matte velvet texture, so you know, you can see here it doesn't reflect the light. But this is another texture, which is kind of annoying. But look at them! They're so beautiful! So this was the first one, Dotter av jord, or Daughter of Earth. But here is the other one, and it's called Varsel i natten by Ann-Katrin Mattsson. I loved the first one, it was so good. The first thing that I need to write down is a thing that I've written there, and that's, do we really need to get to know the first murder victim? Like, do we really need to befriend her, become best friends with her? I don't know if it's necessary. So I'm gonna decide on that right now, or while I'm reading it, I guess, because right now I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. Okay, now I have two things written down. The next thing is about the main character in book 3. In the way that I have written the book now, she is a character that we meet very early on in the book, but I think that even more than the character, the first murder victim, we need to get to know main character 3 much better. Like, they need to become friends earlier on, but that needs to be fixed. Even now when I'm thinking about the book, I'm remembering about the book things that I need to change. So there is a scene, for example, that is a little bit out of place. It's a scene very much in the beginning of the book where they all seem like a happy family, and that's not the case. I don't want them to seem like a happy family. And also, like I talked about before, I think I want to add more wintry and Christmassy feels to the ball and to that part of the book, because it takes place during winter, and even though it's fantasy, most cultures in our own world have some winter kind of festival or tradition or something, so I want to incorporate that in the book as well. There we go. A full page of just things I need to change. But now I'm gonna write things I need to keep and I want to keep. I think I'm happy with how the romantic arc is playing out, because I love the romantic scenes between them. I love them so much, from the very beginning to the very end. I think that his character arc is good as it is right now. I just think that Carwyn is the one that needs more motivation, or a clear motivation in the beginning, so that it's clear for the reader and that it's strong throughout the first half of the book. Because when I was writing it, I kind of fell into that character arc when I had gotten through the first half, maybe. So I need to like work that from the beginning, if you know what I mean. There is a specific scene in this which contains nightmares. I feel like this is oftentimes occurring in YA fantasy romances or YA dystopian romances. The kind of scenes where one of them screams or cries in their sleep and then the love interest comes in and like tries to wake them up. But what other thing is good? I think the murder mystery needs a lot of work, but the mystery aspect, like the whole family secrets things that I have going on in this book, I think that's okay. Like, I think that's good. Maybe I'm being a little bit too clear from the very beginning, and I'm gonna see if that's the case when I'm reading it. If I'm too clear and people can find it out from the very first chapter, I don't want to do that. I will write that a good thing in this book is the family secrets and the mystery aspect. I hope that you can tell that I'm excited by it, and I feel like it has potential. Maybe I'm just being too nice to myself about this work. Maybe it's shit. Okay, so I think that's it. Not as many good things that I'm finding with the book, but I'm hoping that when I read this, I will find more. But now that I have one full page of things I need to change and one page of good things, or 1/3 of a page of good things, I think I'm gonna set this aside and maybe not work on it more today. I feel like watching the 3rd Harry Potter movie, The Prisoner of Azkaban, but tomorrow I also have a work interview and I'm very nervous about that. I'm not really nervous right now, but I know that I'm gonna be nervous tomorrow. So we'll see how much work I will be able to do tomorrow. After that, hopefully I can have focus enough to start going through book 2. It's editing time. It's Thursday the 24th. And it's 3 something in the evening. I haven't gotten to edit anything today because I was going to this work interview. So I took the morning off from both math and editing because I just wanted to get ready for the interview. The interview was at 11. It took maybe 40 minutes and it went well. I think I got the job. Since then, I have been relaxing and editing. I am done with the first chapter, going through it with my handy dandy pencils right here. I'm not focusing as much on the sentence structure and the word use and grammatical things because I just want to get the story done first and then I can focus on that stuff later. But I am still using these 3 and I am highlighting sentences that I think are too long or too short, or like, what the heck am I meaning here? Because those are things, if I pick up on them now, I can fix those. But one thing that I thought about before even going into this is about the first and the second chapter and thinking about redoing them. the first chapter is good as it is, but I don't know if it should be the first chapter. Because here's the thing, the first chapter is from a male point of view, and that chapter takes place at the same time as the epilogue in book 1. But now I'm thinking that maybe I should have the first chapter as a prologue, and then the second chapter in this version is gonna be the first chapter. Like, these are things that I don't really know what to do, because in my opinion it can work like this right here. I don't think it's confusing, but at the same time I'm thinking that whoever reads this book may find it weird that like the second the first book ends, we are jumping straight into the events in this book, because the second chapter, which is now from my female point of view, that chapter begins where her epilogue ended and the first chapter ended. So like we pick up on her story exactly where the first book left off. I don't know if I should do this. Like, I think it's okay, I think it's good, but I don't know as readers if that's very interesting. So what I have written down in my notebook, which I'm going to think about, because if I change it to be what I'm going to talk about, all I have to do is change this second chapter and then everything else is good to go. But what I'm thinking on changing is that right now, like I said, the second chapter begins where the epilogue and the first chapter takes off, like the second after. But maybe I'm gonna change this so that the first chapter in this book is a prologue, and then the first chapter is gonna be from a female point of view, and it's gonna be a couple of weeks later. That means that I have to change her description of her feelings. They're not as fresh if that's the case, which I like that idea more. I feel like I'm gonna do that, and that means I need to rewrite the first half of this chapter. But that also means that a scene in here which I like, I'm gonna delete all of that scene, and I have to figure out a way to bring up all of those character developments in another way. That's a whole new thing that I need to think about, but I'm still going through this chapter as if I would keep it, because I don't know, in the end of this book, or when I have maybe read 2 more chapters, I have a different opinion on this, and maybe I'm gonna keep it like it is right now, send it to my beta reader, and maybe I will have a couple of questions about this chapter specifically. I think, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But anyway, I have written it down in my notebook, and I'm gonna keep thinking on that, or I'm gonna move on from that. And when I come back to this and I'm gonna edit it, then I'm gonna make a decision. Maybe I do 2 versions of the chapter. I'm not gonna send her both of the versions, but I'm gonna edit the chapter as it is now. Keep that, of course, because I feel like you should keep everything that you delete from your story. Every chapter, not every sentence specifically, but every big detail or chapter that you are not using in that scene, and keep those things, because you never know when they will come into use. But I'm gonna keep going through it. I'm on chapter 2, like I said, page 10 in these A4 pages, and I have 3 pages left to go through, and I'm going through this rather quickly because I don't know if I'm just too kind to myself right now, but I feel like I don't have that much grammatical issues to fix in this book. Probably because I'm just focusing on the story issues, but I don't feel like there is much. I feel like I have gotten better at writing since I wrote Goes, Rot and Ruin, and the grammatical issues I had with the first book, me having written very choppy sentences, a lot of commas, I don't have that at all in this book. I have 2 long sentences. Like, I am reading some of the sentences and I'm like, here we have an example. I will count the words that I have in the sentence for you, because this is too much. 49, 50, 51, 52 words in that sentence. I literally took the feedback of having 2 short sentences to heart, and now in this book I have written 2 long sentences. I don't know why I can't find a middle ground in these things. At least now I can see where I'm writing 2 long sentences or 2 short ones. I will cut that up and have it to be multiple sentences, because we need to have a nice rhythm to the reading, and hopefully I will be able to manage that in this draft. But yes, if you don't know, I talked about my system in the editing of Project Full Moon, and I'm sorry that all my content nowadays is editing, but that's where I'm at with all of my projects. But here's my system. Blue is for adding words or adding descriptions or evolving sentences, like maybe it's a short sentence that needs a little bit of describing. These are for that. I haven't used that much in this. The red is for deleting or rewriting. I am using it to cross out things, writing delete, or rewrite this, write these sentences together, or make a dot and a new sentence, rewrite that sentence, and things like that. And then the green one is for things that are unclear, and these things are oftentimes about motivation, when I need to be clear about someone's motivation and why they're saying something or why they're doing something, those things I often need to clarify. And that's why I have green. Green is also for like magic system. If I just mention that elves have magical abilities, maybe I need to clarify what those magical abilities are, or something that just doesn't make sense about the magic system. Just things I need to clear up with myself and the reader. And then I have the notepad. I use a black pen on this, and that's for bigger story issues. Not as big so that I write it in my notebook and have it separate from the document, but just small things. Maybe I can get an example. In the very beginning, also in the prologue of first book, I wrote anger as something cold. My main character experienced anger as very cold and icing and piercing in that way. Like her stare oftentimes describes as an icing stare. She is a cold bitch. So I have written her, I think, throughout all of this book and in the prologue as well. I've written her anger as ice. But apparently, the first times I described anger from her point of view, I described it as hot, an inferno, flames. But that's not the case. Like Carowin, she's an ice queen, not a fire-breathing bitch queen, like Aelin, for example, in Throne of Glass. So for that example, I will comment as well when I'm going through the document now. We'll comment on where I'm writing about her anger and how that is portrayed, make it so that it's cold everywhere. So that's a bigger thing that I don't want to like write in the actual margins of the book or in the text, but I write it separately but stick it in there so I can like remember what I was talking about. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading. I'm anticipating reading about the romance, but I'm not anticipating all the big things that I talked about that I wrote down in my notebook before, like yesterday. I'm not excited to get to those parts because I know they will be needing a lot of work, but I'm going through it chapter by chapter, and I think that will take like the pressure off. Great news. I think I have decided on what I'm gonna do with the chapter. That's good. I still haven't finished the whole chapter, but I'm on the last page now, so I'm gonna do that. I just wanted to update that I have an answer now. Here's the thing with editing. Keep editing and you will probably find the answer in the text. It's the 25th of November and I'm sitting down to edit some more today. Yesterday I was only able to edit 2 chapters. On chapter 3 it's from my male point of view. Before that I actually wanted to talk to you about 2 things that I've been just thinking about. One of those things is a question that I have been asked on my YouTube channel. It was my latest editing vlog and it was with my debut novel. And in that vlog, I edit my debut novel with the publisher the 2nd round. And I think I'm going to edit 1 more round and then a proofread. This question that I got is very valid because I don't know how it works in other countries. Here is my experience and my answer to this question. So this very lovely person asked or said that they didn't understand why I needed another editing round. So she was aware that I had edited 1 time and she asked, why did you need to edit another round? Why do you need to edit more rounds than 1? Isn't the book done after the first round? My experience was that I wrote the first draft, sent to a beta reader, edited from the beta reader's feedback, sent it to a developmental editor. Sending a book and paying for an editor before you're getting published or to get published is something that a lot of indie publishers do, to get a professional editor going through your manuscript and helping you edit your book. I knew from the very beginning that I would go with the traditional route to publishing, so I didn't need to pay an editor to go through my book beforehand, but I knew that I would have a higher chance of getting picked up by this publisher if I went with a developmental editor beforehand and paid for that. So at this point, my manuscript is edited a couple of times, but then we don't have agents. So my understanding of agents, for example, in the US or UK, is that when you have an agent, before you go submission, you go through 1 or 2 or multiple editing rounds with your agent so that they help you get the manuscript as best as you guys can together before sending it on submission. So that's my idea for agents, but I don't have an agent. So I sent my edited version of the manuscript with a professional's help, of course, and I sent it to the publisher. I got the deal with the publisher and they said beforehand that this book will need probably 3 rounds of editing. And that is very common, I feel like, especially my view of publishing in Sweden, that is very common. But I also know that in the US, for example, you sign a deal with the publishing house and you sign a deal with the editor, because on submission you are sending the manuscript to editors at publishing houses, I think. correct me if I'm wrong. So after you have gotten a deal for your book, you still need to edit with the editor at the publishing house to get it published. And so that is what I am doing right now with Gods, Rot and Ruin. I have gotten a deal with the publishing house here in Sweden. I'm now working with an editor to make the book complete. Because when you send a book to a publisher, it can be completely done and there's nothing that has to be done with it, for example. But oftentimes you do still need a lot of work, and the publishers may have some things that they want to change about your manuscript or that they want you to work more on. The book could have been good by itself, like by you editing after the first round, but there could still be things that needed fixes. For the first round of editing with Gods, Rot and Ruin, I worked with an editor that was not inside of the publishing house, and this was a deal that I made with the publishers and this editor. So when I went through that, for the second round, I then knew that I would need another editing round because me and my publishers had agreed to that beforehand. So I sent it to the editor at the publishing house for the second round, which is where I'm at now. I think we need another round because there was some things in the second round that I picked up on that I just commented like, should we change this? Should we clarify this? So therefore it will need a third round to go through all of those things that are new in the document. And of course, it's different for different people, but I think a general rule is that after you get a deal with a publisher, you still go through rounds of edits, and you definitely go to, maybe not rounds of edits, but one editorial round, developmental edits, going through fixing plot holes, fixing descriptions, or filling out a scene or something of the kind. But then you definitely need to go through a proofread as well. So I think every author needs to go through a proofread with the publisher. So how many editorial rounds you go through is very specific to your book and your, like, the author or the writer. My book needed more work, so I'm putting in more work with the editor. But I think a general rule is that everyone goes through at least 2 edits. So that's my experience with editing and why you're not only doing 1 edit, maybe you need 2 rounds of edits. I have seen multiple US authors, traditionally published authors in the US, talking about the first round of edits with the editor after the book has been sold to the publisher. I have seen people talk about the first round and a proofread. I haven't really seen people talk about more than 1 editorial round. Like I said, if you have another perspective on this, please do leave a comment below and we can add to this discussion. But this is just my experience, I guess, and I wanted to share it with you because I cannot understand why it is weird that I'm publishing. I published 3 different editing videos on Gods, Rot and Ruin. 1 before I sent it in, and 2 after I sent it in. And there will be another one, I think. So I can understand why it's confusing, why I'm editing so many times. Like, isn't the book done already? But no. I think next round is gonna be just small fixes and those things that I commented on. Nothing big. And then the proofread is all the document, going through nitpicky dots and commas. The other thing that I wanted to talk about really quick. This comes into 2 parts. First, I follow Libra on Instagram, and she had collaborated with something Epic Reads, no? I don't remember. But she talked about 5 of her writing tips. And one of her writing tips were to find your method or find your style of writing a book. Or not writing style, but writing routine or method. And that just made me think about, like, have I found my writing method? Have I found the right combination of things that works for me, enables me to write a book in maybe 2 months, 3 months? And then I talked with my mother yesterday about this as well, and she said she's not a writer or anything. She hasn't written a book, so her perspective is of someone that doesn't write. But she also talked about that it must be important for authors to find their method that works for them. So I started thinking about that after we had talked. I think I have found the writing method that works for me, because since that first book, I have written 3 books, yes, and it's been 2 years. I have only written 1 book this year, and that's this one right here. But now, when I go into a new project, I know what I'm looking for and I know what I need to be able to finish that project. So I bring up the 3-story structure template with all the plot beats, and I bring out the character template that I have, and I use the templates that Abby Emmons creates, and I can link her channel below if you want to check out her videos. And even when I'm writing short stories, because I wrote a short story very recently, even when I wrote that, I didn't bring out these templates, these 3-story structure templates or anything, but I knew how the story would play out so that it would fit that 3-story structure template, and I knew what I needed to pick out from my characters to make the story believable or the characters believable. So I don't know what this chat was, but it really shows novels that you need to learn about the 3-act story structure and learn about how to make believable characters, lovable characters, their motivations, what they fear and what they want, and how that drives the story forward. I really want to be a full-time author, want to be able to publish 1 or 2 books a year. Maybe that won't be possible ever, but 1 book a year is definitely a thing that I want to do. And so if you want to do that, you need to be able to create a story and then edit a story in maybe 6 months. So you have that kind of schedule already set out so that you're on a loop all the time. Creating a story, editing a story, creating a story, editing a story. That's everything I have to say to you. Thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk. I'm now going to go through chapter 3. And I think that I may be able to go through 2 chapters today. And if I go through 2 chapters a day, that will be good progress made. I have 50 chapters with the epilogue. And actually, I already know this. I'm gonna change the whole epilogue because now it takes place somewhere that I have decided to change. Like the whole place that it takes place at, it's changed. Yes, but I have 50 chapters, and if I nail that down to 2 chapters a day, I have 25 days to edit this book. Some days I may edit more chapters, or some days I may edit just 1, but my plan is, fingers crossed, to edit 2 chapters a day, which means that I can be done in the month of December, which is good. That leaves me January, at the beginning of January, to edit through this book and then send it to a beauty reader. I have my trusty pens here, and I'm actually, if you have watched up until now, you know that I wrote down yesterday the things with chapter 1 and 2 that I wanted to change, but now I have decided on a solution for that, so I'm gonna write down the solution. And I know that I am wearing the same sweater that I have been wearing for the past 2 days, but it's so cozy, so damn cozy. And so I don't care if I'm wearing it in every clip in this vlog. So I'm gonna do that now, and actually it's 11:30, so I think I'm gonna go through a chapter and then I'm gonna eat lunch, do another chapter, take a walk maybe, then do another chapter. So maybe 3 chapters will be done today. Maybe, I don't know. I'm here for the update. I'm sorry if you can hear anything in background, but it's 5:30 in the evening and I have edited up until chapter 6. But tomorrow I'm gonna do chapter 7 and 8, maybe more. But I also want to take it easy. I want to read some books. I want to watch Wednesday. I've started watching Wednesday. It's directed by Tim Burton. It's very good. It's very funny, very dark. Recommend that. But yes, I'm gonna take off my makeup and then just take it easy for the rest of the evening. Maybe watch Andor with my family. The editing went well. I actually was like laughing at my own like writing, or not making fun of it, but having fun with it. So there were some scenes and some dialogue things that I was like, which is a good sign, or it's a sign that I'm going mad. I can't tell. But anyway, I'm gonna talk to you next week probably, update you on how it went during the weekend. Hello everyone, welcome to the end of this writing vlog. So this writing vlog ended up being really long without having much content in it at all. I ended up editing up until the 6th chapter, like I said. The first 30 minutes of this video I had only edited 2 chapters, so I am sorry for that. My plan was for this vlog to continue on, and I filmed a clip after, but I can't put that in this video because it will be 10 or 15 minutes longer than it has to be. That's why I'm ending it here. I'm trying to cut it down. We'll see how that goes. Therefore, this is the end of this video. So I'm filming this on the 2nd of December, but know this, there will be 2 more editing vlogs in December, and there will be extra videos. I hope you're excited for December. There will be many more videos on this project to come. Next editing video will begin a day after or 2 days after I filmed that last clip. So I hope that you enjoyed this introduction video to the editing process, where I talk about the first 2 chapters and me trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with them up until the 6th chapter, and answering that very important question that I feel like I just edited it, so I have this fresh in my memory. I may have made it seem or sound more complicated than it is, but if you have more questions about how the publishing works here in Sweden, or my understanding of publishing when it comes to editing, leave them in the comments below and I will answer them to the best of my capabilities and my experience. With that said, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like and a comment below because it really helps my channel out. It's the best way to support my channel if you are not subscribed. But if you're not subscribed, please do, because I post a new video every week, every Thursday, and in December there will be more videos up than usual. With that said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!